We're 7:06, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we still have a board meeting to do tonight. So for a lot of the folks on here, we're going to keep rolling through. But anyway, so the purpose of that we talked about for this was really just ideally for folks that are newer, maybe that haven't been as involved in the neighborhood, to learn more about volunteer opportunities, to learn more, or if people have questions about what the SCA does or what any of those kind of roles look like, to give a space to ask those questions. Of course, in COVID days, it's a lot harder to do the impromptu meets and to meet a lot of the new neighbors, which we have a ton of. And so we're kind of struggling to reach out and let people know kind of what the SCA does, and realize that we've got lots of great volunteer opportunities, and it doesn't matter if you've lived here a month or 5 years or 10 years. We're looking for folks that want to be involved. One of the misconceptions I think folks have is they think that we have to live here for a long time to serve on the board or be involved. And probably is exactly the opposite. In fact, of all the people I'm looking at on this call that volunteer outside of, the Houks, the Polans, and the Lowsons, most people have volunteered within the first year or so of moving into the neighborhood. So some within months. So anyway, again, that's another just misconception that I know I probably had. I can't be on the board. I just moved here. I don't know anybody or anything. And in fact, I think it's positive to have kind of new perspectives come in and, kind of keep it cycling through. So I'm going to guess that's kind of how it's been. I don't know. I can't speak too far back to the history. I've only been in Surreywood for 7 years now. So my history is a little limited there. But anyway, I guess, does anybody right off the top have any questions? I know a lot of people are on the board on here, so. Derek, I'm going to pick on you because you're a newer face.
Yes, I am the new face, but I'm going to tell you guys, I have been watching you guys for years. I am finally I'm at a point now. I don't want to say because of the coronavirus that I'm not always on the go, but all of our kids are grown. So, our travel time to sporting events have died out. I'm not coaching anymore. I'm just, but we're home more, and I've been watching for years. We rent our house here on Elmart. We've been here for 11 years.
Okay.
And I always watched the association. I watched the work, and I think one year I attempted to try to do something, then got called off to do something else. But I'm always looking for a place where I can jump in.
Okay.
So I saw something that happened Halloween night about hay rides, and wanted to see if it needed any more help with hay rides.
Okay. That is technically not an SCA event. However, we have done it before. And so I actually, it's something we're going to talk about probably on our meeting tonight. But yeah, no, I mean, we'd love to have any extra help whenever we can. So, and I appreciate you kind of, getting involved after, after watching for many years, because I think that's cool too. I mean, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great, and I'm loving the Facebook group page. I'm loving it.
That's good. That's good. I think we became Facebook friends recently. I'm enjoying seeing some of your stuff too. So
yeah.
But anyway, all right. Well, that's great. That's good to know. Anybody else have any other questions or comments or anything else they want to screen?
Travis, I was going to suggest, in lieu of questions from the group, do we want to just give a list of some of the volunteer opportunities? Yeah. Just to give folks a sense of what kind of opportunities are out there.
All right. So we've got a number. Probably some more pressing than others. One of the things that we talked about, earlier this summer was the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And I think based on actually today, we got a few more folks that have kind of reached out about that. So I think we're really close to at the point where we can actually create that and get that off the ground. And we'll talk today in our board meeting about some budget for that, but obviously we could still use a few more for that. And then after that, our most pressing need is still building and grounds director, which Willie is on this call, he was the former one, and he retired, but has continued to do quite a bit of the work still, as nobody has stepped up to kind of take over some of that. And to speak to that job, again, I wrote a lot last year in the scene about it, but Willie made the job seem really hard and what is not easy, but he definitely made it, he definitely was an overachiever, and I think intimidated folks because he just did so much, especially a lot of his own time, tools and materials. And, you know, actually, I'll pick on Ben because I think he was the buildings ground director before, and I don't quite think he did as much as Willie, didn't do it quite the same way as Willie. So Ben, why don't you speak a little bit to kind of how it worked when you were doing it?
All right, you guys hear me? We good?
We're good.
All right. So Willie certainly, you know, went above and beyond any of our expectations. So thank you, Willie, first off, for all your years of service and just the way you've made this neighborhood look. When I was doing buildings and grounds, there was more of a committee approach. So I was, you know, there was a lot of reaching out. I don't know that we had the Facebook group back then, but there's a lot of emails going out like, hey, we're going to have a work day, things that we did organized, like we built the flagpole. I had a couple of people helping me with that. On the Dell Drive entrance, those black gates, at one point in time, they were looking not so pristine. So I got a bunch of guys out there to help me sand them down and paint them. You know, we would always organize the cleanup days with the pool, usually in the late spring. You know, you get a bunch of people down there and work around the dam and clean up the boat ramp, and the pool will have their cleanup day at the same time, and we'll kind of migrate down and help clean up the playground, and a lot of close coordination with that. A lot of what I was doing was every couple of weeks I'd just make a circuit through the neighborhood and check on the signs, because that's a constant maintenance issue, and not so much every time, but you know, you got to keep an eye on them, because sometimes the signs the screws will kind of ride out from the top, so you got to pick the signs up and repair them. And Will's got a pretty good method that whoever volunteers for this he can share with. As far as like upkeep of the Dell Drive entrance and the dam, we have a contract with a company here in Surreywood, Turfway. They do a really good job. So you're the point man on that. You know, you're calling Dennis to see when, you know, how soon he can get out there to mow the dam, or just check on his progress with Dell Drive. So it sounds like it's a lot, but it's more coordination than actual grunt work. So please don't be intimidated.
And I'll just quickly add, I mean, that's a good point, Ben, that, you know, it's coordination. So for example, I offered to Willie that, you know, I can take over the sign duty. I like doing woodworking and painting, so I'll be taking care of some of that. But we need folks to help make sure all these pieces are moving and we're getting the right folks connected. But there's always people that want to pitch in and help out. But yeah, I think a lot of the times you just need people to help make sure that's happening in a timely and effective manner. So it might seem like a lot, but it's really not that scary. You know, you got a lot of people behind you to help.
And I mean, I think we had a work day, a community work day, what was it, like the day before the pandemic? I think like the weekend it was announced. And we had like 8 people show up, and or maybe more, and we plowed through like a ton of work. You know, if we would have had more stuff to do, we would have accomplished even more. So I do think it is just kind of a matter of someone being a point person and coordinating some of that, and asking for help. I love Willie, but he's not the best at asking for help. I suffer from that myself sometimes, so I'm pretty aware of it. But anyway, and apparently Willie is not on the call. It's actually Shirley. She's hiding. So, but I just figured Willie logged in on Shirley's computer. But just another point, you know,
like Billy said, you know, he's willing to help out. You know, I've formerly served in this position. You know, Travis is a great person that if you point him in the right direction, he'll pull through it. So there's a lot of people on the board that can help you out and kind of get your feet underneath you. So there's certainly some resources that you can lean on with this position.
All right, moving along, the next position that is we're looking for a new face to kind of transition to. And again, even with to speak to even though we say it's vacant, it's definitely a transition position where Willie's going to be there every step of the way to help someone transition into the buildings and grounds. And so the same thing with all the other positions that we have. So we'll start with Haley with the Community Events Director. And Haley, just give us a little short blurb about what you do and yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. So the events committee is a committee, obviously. I could not do all of these events by myself, but it's usually an ad hoc basis where if you can help that day, great. If you can help plan, but the SCA is responsible every year for 4 events. We do the Easter egg hunt in the spring, which is usually the Saturday before. You guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Then in the fall, we have the fish fry, where James and his brother, we just did it as a drive-by fish fry, but so we've got the egg hunt, the fish fry, the chili cook-off, and the grand illumination. So it's not a huge pull, but I think I find myself throughout the years adding things, taking away things. So it's really just 4 major events every year that bring the community together. And I just feel like after 5 or 6 years on the board, we need somebody with new creative ideas who could maybe freshen up what we're doing. Because I feel like it's not getting stale because we always are having new people join, but I think that it would just be great to have some new ideas.
Cool.
And again, I would be there to help transition anybody into this role and hold their hand for as long as possible. And I will be your first committee member.
There we go. All right. And the next one is my lovely wife, Carly, who is the communications director currently and is also looking to transition off after a long run on the board. So I will let her speak to what she does.
So all the communications that you get in your inbox, Town Square, or Facebook kind of get directed through me, but obviously in this digital age, it's not as much as it used to be, so it's not a terribly ton of work there, so that's the good news there. Like moderating and overseeing those venues is just being the point person is the role there. Melanie's on the call and she's such a wonderful asset to our neighborhood. She's volunteered in all of the committees and helps with our kiosks. So I'm kind of the kiosk commander, but I don't even have to do anything because her and her son are amazing at just making it happen, even with not that many posters and so on and so forth. So thank you, Melanie. And then we do, I help oversee, Ed is also on the call and he stepped up to help with the scene, which has been a huge weight off of my back. But I kind of just make sure that everybody else that's on the board is submitting their content, and if there's any angles that we need to cover in the scene, that those spaces are being covered. I also help make sure that the ads are taken care of or paid, or they're supposed to be in color, that they're in color, that kind of thing. And I also oversee like the website and digital content for the neighborhood. So managing that sort of thing to a person who has some technical experience would be appreciated, but if that is not possible, I'm happy to help assist with some of those more technical things, and let someone else go through the day-to-day of reminding him to submit his article.
All right. So yeah, again, and just to point that out, Carly used to do the scene and create a lot of the pieces, but does no longer, or Ed has now stepped up to do that. So that's a huge benefit that you don't have to be a Photoshop whiz or, well, even user really to do it. So that's definitely takes a nice thing off the plate. And then our the final position that is currently we're looking for is our membership director, which is Miss Betty Austin. And Betty, speak to what you do.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening. So my position sort of has evolved over the past couple of years. Like when I first started, it was very manual. It was spreadsheets, keeping track of who was in the neighborhood, newcomers to the neighborhood, checking, the county website to see who's moved in. And a lot of it was, I managed a lot of the street captains. We had like 30, actually, I think it's like 50 street captains. It was very, very time intensive, but now we've gone to Town Square and C3. A lot of everything's in the database now. So what I do is try to keep updating the database with the newcomers, making sure that people's information is up to date. And Travis has helped with the membership this year. He does a lot of I don't know all the ins and outs of C3 yet, which I'm sure the new person could learn that. So they have, they will have to do the annual membership drive, which is September, October every year. And the other thing I do is collect the payments. So I check the mailbox, bring the payments and the checks and enter those in C3 and then give them to the treasurer, and she deposits those for us. And just basically updating and also keeping track of the welcoming, which Kelly Barnes is now doing. And she was, so I give her the names of new people and she sends people, she knows people, like she has a network of people that are now welcoming the new members or the new residents of the neighborhood. So, like I said, the job is still evolving, but it's so much more streamlined than it was before. So.
Yeah, yeah, we're still learning C3 too, to that effect, and so this will probably be the year we work harder on documentation, making it hopefully a little simpler. So we're not
actually having a manual would be nice, like step by step would be great. Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, that's those are the positions. And the other thing I will add is all the folks that are that have just spoke are also involved in our basically monthly board meetings. I'd say we have 9 to 10 board meetings a year, and at those we're just recapping what's going on. Also kind of discussing, maybe higher level issues or concerns or just kind of directional things. So there's an advisory role to every position as well. And are those all voting positions? I think they are. I think they're all. Not that it's a huge technicality. We don't have very many divisive votes, but there is from a documentation standpoint, there are voting roles. And then, of course, I talked about earlier the Diversity and Inclusion Committee that I said I think we're close to the amount. I don't want to dictate what that's going to look like exactly, how it's going to operate. The way I would hope it will operate and envision is it'll be given a structure to, create initiatives or events or a combination of both to work on inclusion, to get new people out, to get, and to advise the board as well on some of those issues. So again, that's probably more of a TBD as far as the specifics go, but we're just looking for folks that maybe have experience in that background, and just want to add another voice. I think it's super important and really critical as we, move forward as a neighborhood. But so that is kind of our volunteer recap. Anybody have any questions or other notes to add?
Travis, I'd just like to say one thing real quick, and I can't stress this enough. All these positions, they are committee heads. We're not asking you guys to do everything yourself. We're just asking you to steer the efforts to make these things happen. So don't feel like you got to be Atlas and put the weight of the world on your shoulders. This is just, we're looking for someone to kind of focus volunteers, and you can usually find 3 or 4 good people that you can lean on to help you with your tasks. So I just want to say that real quick.
Cool. No, I'd agree. Yeah, and again, it's just trying to expand the network, like Ben said too, to get more folks involved. But I will. Does anyone else have any questions or anything? Because otherwise, we will adjourn, and then we can hopefully post this on the Facebook and everywhere else. So folks that missed it can kind of take a look at it. And I will add, so one of the other things, and the reason we're doing this now is normally we like to have these positions filled before our annual meeting, which is coming up in about essentially 4 weeks. It's the week after the presidential election. I think it's the 9th. So we wanted to try to do this, try to get the interest or get folks that are, willing to step up so that we can vote on our slate of directors at that time. So that is the reason for doing it now. And again, just trying to find new ways to do this during COVID. So I will add that.
Yeah, I would just add, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, and just to add to that, be advocates if you do think, hey, that position, I know this person might be a good fit for that, or, I know this person has this set of skills. Try and, pass this information along. We'd love to, it always helps to nudge people or handhold a little bit. We've seen that gets a lot of engagement. So if you think of folks that might fit well for these, please let them know and, get them in touch with us.
That's a great point. And I mean, I think that's what we're looking for, suggestions or ideas or just different people that we, especially right now, our social circles are extremely small if there exists. So it's, trying to find folks that are interested.
How come we can't hear him?
He's not talking.
Oh, the guy is up there.
I would like to jump in just for a sec, Travis.
Yeah, thanks.
I've had several contacts over the last few months on this diversity committee, and I'm just strongly encouraged to get that going. There seems to be a lot of interest in pursuing that, and I think that would be well served for the community here.
No, I agree. And I mean, like I said, today we had a few more folks step up, but so I think that puts us at least 4 that have, put a strong interest forward. So, we're definitely at the point now where it's, you can form a committee and start trying to make some progress or make some difference. So. All right. Last call. Since I'm going to put this up, I don't want to show a video of us all staring at each other for too long. So
to go the way of the Green New Deal, even though they try to lie about it.
All right, guys. Thanks all of you for participating, whether you're on the board, whether you're a long-term resident or newer. We really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you, ideally not on the computer screen someday. All right.